Hello everyone, welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. Just a super quick video here about something I picked up off eBay. And it's this little tiny 9-inch monitor. By the time this video comes out, you will have already seen a video on the main channel about a little 9-inch VGA IBM monitor. Well, the funny thing is I had purchased this off eBay before that 9-inch IBM monitor showed up. And this monitor, I'm pretty sure, is just a little 9-inch VGA monitor as well, but it's not IBM branded, obviously. This monitor has pretty much no branding on it. It just says monochrome monitor manufactured October 95, model number EM-916A. And down here it says EMC Monitor Corporation, 5702 Savoy Lane, Houston, Texas, 77036, United States. And it has that printed label there, whatever that means, and a barcode down here, which maybe is the serial number. Besides the power switch, we have what looks like two holes in the case that are covered up by a sticker. Contrast, vertical size, and horizontal phase. Nothing on the bottom that I can see. Obviously on the front here, we have a little tiny power LED, I presume. There is a slider on the underside here for brightness. Tilt swivel stand, nothing on that side. And there is the VGA connector with just a few pins in it. Now I just picked this up today and I would like to test it so I could potentially let the seller know if this thing works or doesn't work. Cosmetic conditions, not so bad, and I was actually kind of worried that of course it would break in shipping, as is very common for CRTs, but of course this thing is so light, it's not likely to break, and it actually was relatively well wrapped in a bunch of bubble wrap and then filled in a box with packing peanuts. Now the listing on eBay for this actually showed it powered on, although he had it plugged into something and it wasn't synchronizing, so the picture was all distorted. I have a feeling he probably plugs it into like a more modern laptop with VGA, and those will only output 800 by 600 at the minimum resolution if you're running like Windows 7 or 10. And almost certainly this monitor was probably designed for point of sale or text mode, so certainly probably only supports 640 by 480 at the maximum. So I took a gamble and purchased it, so let's plug it into the little bench PC here and see if it works. I'm gonna use this ISA VGA card, which is the one I use for all my video capture, hooked up to the open source scan converter. Seems to work the best, and probably will maybe give this thing the best chance of having a good image. One more thing to check before I turn this on. Does it have any burn in? You know, I don't think it does. Let me just clean the CRT off here, just so give it the best chance of looking its best. Yeah, it's actually not that dirty. The whole case is certainly not in perfect condition, and it's not pristine or massively clean. It's a bit grimy, but overall, it could be a lot worse for something that was probably found in a back room or garage or basement or wherever this seller found it and flipped it. He had no background information on this thing, so he probably just found it somewhere and decided to list it on eBay and make a buck, as so many people do these days. eBay is just filled with flippers. People who find stuff at like estate sales or in the garbage or wherever. They look it up on eBay and they see dollar signs in their eyes that they could make some money, but they really don't know anything about the thing they're selling other than what's printed on it. So they don't really know how to test it properly. Let's turn this thing on. All right, there we go. We have an image and it's certainly dim. It is certainly dim. All right, well, it's certainly working. And what's interesting to me is this is sort of a yellowish white phosphor, not that different than the IBM. Okay, I have vid test up on the screen here. Let's try 350 lines. Oh, that's working well. And that's pretty good. The focus in the corners is not bad. All right, let's try 400 lines. Okay, it always makes it squished like that. That's a function of this test program. And let's try, okay, what's happening here? All right, and there's 640 by 480 crosshatch, and yeah, it's looking really quite good. I think the biggest problem, just like that IBM one, it's just pretty dim. And I had to turn the brightness up quite a bit so I could get a somewhat bright image, which of course creates blooming. When I turn it down like this, now the text is super sharp. So once again, a very tired CRT. Let's just do a quick test to see if it supports 800 by 600, and nope, that's what it showed on the listing picture, so it definitely does not. Something very weird about the way this program is working. It has nothing to do with the monitor, it's just the computer. I'll just Control Delete out of it. So this Trident card can detect that there's a monochrome monitor hooked up to it, so it won't send color information to it. So things like red text, for instance, will show up on a monitor like this, which of course this monitor is only picking up the green signal from the VGA card, so red wouldn't even show up at all. Now, if you run a game like Doom, the red text on here will just show up as black. And yep, there it is. So see the text there? It's basically not visible, and that's nothing to do with the monitor. That has purely to do with the fact that it's just sending red out of the VGA card, which there's no pin on the connector for even. All right, so this monitor works. That's a good thing. It's just dim, so I'm gonna open it up. Let's just take a look at the internals and see how similar or how different it is to that IBM. All right, for taking this apart, there are 2 Phillips screws on the bottom. Oh, that's nice. It's a metal screw as well, so it's not just screwing into plastic. Judging by the crack sound it just made when I took that screw out, I would say this monitor has never been taken apart. There's 1 screw on the back here. This one's a little bit longer and smaller than the others. The tilt stand also has a couple screws. I'm just gonna take it off. I don't know if it needs to come off. Okay, these are just plastic screws. Okay, and there's the tilt stand off. It's a little bit yellowed. Huh, okay, these wires, they just poke through the bottom, so I definitely would need to take the tilt stand off because you gotta feed these cables through this hole here. Now, how does this come apart? I bet you there's some clips on the top here. Oh, I hate monitors that are built like this. All right, trying to use some plastic spudgers here on the top. All right, I just had to pry the plastic. It was very tight fitting, and there it came. No damage was done to the monitor. Gotta say, those plastic spudger tools are very handy since they don't damage the plastic prying it. All right, there's the company that made this plastic molding. Has not the manufacturer of the monitor though, just the monitor case. All right, well, you can see how insanely compact this monitor is. Look at this thing. Isn't that cute? Look at this. What an adorable little tiny monitor. So it's certainly dusty in here. Switch mode power supply, it looks like here. And then we just have an ultra compact little PCB there. What I really wanted to check out in this monitor was the way the CRT mounts to the, I guess, chassis or whatever. Basically, this metal is the chassis and this is just a front plastic bezel. It uses mounting tabs that look exactly like the ones on the Macintosh. So I think a Macintosh CRT should work perfectly with this. And in fact, I have a pretty good quality one. I'm gonna go grab it now and we'll do a quick tube swap. All right, so let's get this out of here. Just gonna unscrew everything from that front bezel. How nice, they have an opening in the metal here to allow the screwdriver to go through. And with those out, does this all pop out now? Should. What's holding it in? Oh, there's more screws. That's what it is. This metal chassis here has the screw that goes through the CRT, but it also has another screw on each side. Okay, got it. Need to make sure I hold on to it. It's probably gonna flop over or something like that. All right, no flopping. All right, okay, this all comes out now. Now the power LED is attached. How do I get that off? Ooh, there's some spider webs in here. All right, so if I put this down, the bezel definitely comes off pretty easily. How do I get that little LED out of there? Maybe it just is pressed in. All right, so I know I can't really show this on camera because it's tucked way in there, but it's heat staked into place. So that's kind of rude. I don't like that at all. Let's put this back this way. There's a zip tie right here I'm gonna cut. That's gonna give a little bit more length on the wires. All right, so with the bezel out of the way, the CRT is actually free to be removed now. So I just need to take the yoke off, take the neck off, discharge it, and then I can pull that out. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is all very tight. Tight in here, like so. This ground wire here doesn't even have a connector. Try to get this off here. Oh, it's stuck on a little like flash tube or something. Yeah, this wire here is permanently attached, so I'm gonna have to desolder this, and I'll have to cut it and connect it later. Cut it right in the middle here. I'll cut it down here. Just gonna loosen the screw clamp and then turn this to try to break it free. Come on. Okay, there we go. There we go. You are free. You are free. Okay, I'm going to use my high voltage probe to ground the CRT. So we'll clip it onto the diagram there. And I'm going to use this plastic tool here to go under there. Get that under there. All right, there was no stored charge. What happens is this thing has a button, you hold that, and then if it reads any stored charge, if it reads any high voltage, then you know there was some stored charge on there. But most monitors that aren't old have a bleeder resistor, so this definitely does. Okay, so that's off, and this is off. So now I can get the CRT out of here. There we go. Okay, so there's that little CRT. Little cutie thing. Here's the one I'm going to be putting in here. Now it's outside of my garage, so it's still a little cold, so I'm not going to turn it on quite yet. But there's the specs on it. This came out of a Macintosh and it is made by Clinton. All right, and reassembly is exactly the same, just in reverse. So we just slide the yoke onto there. Slide this down into the chassis. There it is, it's already holding onto it. Pretty cool design, I like it. Let's connect up the high voltage. Now you may be noticing that this monitor doesn't have that little metal wire that runs across the ground on the outside of the CRT here. And that's because on the Macintosh, it just connects up to the ear right here. So I've gone to my parts bin, and this is like from an old Mac that's died. This PCB is cracked and there's missing parts and stuff. So there's like a parts thing. So here's the wire that was on the Mac. It goes from the neck board to the corner. I'm going to use this. And I just cut it and made it too short. Whoops. All right, I have the wire extended here, and you may notice something. I actually had to flip the CRT around. And the reason for that is because on the neck board here, the connector, the way this board is situated, it has to go on a particular way. And on this CRT, I had to flip it this way for the orientation of the pins to be correct. This little PCB here is asymmetrical. The connector is up on this side. So if you try to, or no, the connector's down at the bottom. If you try to flip it around, it actually hits these controls here. So the CRT has to be in this orientation. Luckily, the high voltage anode wire had a knot in it, and it's longer than just going to right here. It can actually reach over to that side without any problem at all. And for this ground wire here, I'm just gonna take one of these screws here that's gonna go up into the corner, and I'm just going to attach it. Okay, I think that's it. I think this thing is actually ready for some testing. Let me give this CRT a little bit of a wipe down. This whole thing is just a little in need of some TLC. All right, time for some testing. I have the PC here turned on. Let's turn on this monitor. Okay, I heard high voltage. All right, that is so much brighter. Let's turn down the brightness here. I'm gonna turn this off and try to adjust the yoke. Why is it hard to turn? All right, there it is. Definitely some geometry adjustments that need to happen. There are little magnets on the yoke that I can turn to do that. But this is looking a billion times better than that other one. Nice and sharp. Oh yeah, look at this. Wonderful. When we look at the yoke, these little metal magnet things here, you turn these and that will adjust the geometry in the various corners and things like that. So if we turn this one, see how it has that effect on the corner there? One thing I'm noticing about this monitor though is there's one control for height. So if I get this looking good and I exit out of here, text is squished. Okay, there's a couple extra potentiometers here. Let's see what they do. Oh yeah, okay, that's what this does. Got it. So this is for V height of the text mode. The pot's a bit scratchy. All right, let's see, that's a bit better. I need to center the picture up using the centering rings on the back, but if I go 480 lines now, yeah, there we go, much more similar now. So that's great. And then 400 line as well. Okay, I don't know about that. This is 400 lines. 350 line, this is like EGA. Yeah, okay, that's looking good too. To adjust the centering rings, they're right here. There's one there, and there's another one over on this side. And since there's no room in here to get your hands, I'm gonna try to use a little hook like this to reach in there. There we go, and turn those. Let's see what that just did. Oh, look, that raised it up. That's a lot better already. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's looking good. Oh, this monitor is pretty great. Nice and sharp, really good focus all the way across. I mean, this thing rocks, especially with this much better CRT in here. Dynamic high voltage regulation. See how this looks? Not bad. So this is a stress test for the monitor. It's like really bright and then really dim here. And when a monitor is being overdriven, or say the power supply is not strong enough, but typically when you have it turned up way too high, and you lose some size control where it starts to grow. And that's because on these types of monitors, anything that's really bright on the screen draws down the high voltage supply, and that causes the horizontal to expand. So basically, when you overdrive the monitor, that's what happens. Let's see, if I turn this up, it's probably gonna do it. Only a little bit. It's a bit wider here. But when I turn it back down, it goes back and it looks better again. And there we go, that is full brightness. Whoops, full brightness. And you can really see if the picture changes in size. It actually shrinks a little bit on this monitor. Yeah, so fully bright actually makes it shrink, which is atypical. Typically, full white screen, you actually have a bit of growth, but I guess it all affects it very differently. Anyways, sweet. This monitor's kick ass, especially with the tube swap. Thumbs up. So of course it goes without saying, any typical 9-inch CRT will fit in this monitor if the mounting tabs are compatible, both amber and green, along with the various shades of white. So I could, with the appropriate swap, turn this into an amber VGA monitor. I'm not really sure that I've ever seen that before. It's usually, they were always white back in the day because you're gonna have shades of gray, of course, but I think an amber one would be pretty cool. So watch for that in the future. I'm gonna be putting this thing back together. You may see it on the channel periodically. I just love how tiny this thing is. It is so small. And yeah, of course, as I said, the CRT came out of a Macintosh, so that gives you an idea of how small things are. Love it. Awesome screen. And yes, this thing looks now especially a lot better than the IBM CRT, a lot brighter. That CRT is still very worn out. I could have put this in that one, I'm sure. They look to have identical mounting tabs, but I love how compact this monitor is. So I'm gonna stick it in this one for now. Maybe in the future, if I do swap this out with amber or green, then I will put this in the other one. I don't know, we'll see. Anyhow, I think that's it for this little mini mail call. It took longer than I thought, because I thought I would just be testing this out. But hey, there you go. I love my CRTs. If you like this video, thumbs up would be great. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below, and a huge thanks to my patrons. Their names are scrolling up the side of the screen. And that is gonna be it. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.